In previous videos in this series, you explored the archetypes that naturally emerge when the boundary between life and work dissolves. Expressions of presence, guidance, creation, leadership, and stewardship that arise from a more integrated state of being. But there is a deeper layer beyond roles, one that cannot be categorized or named in the same way. As consciousness expands, a person may begin as a guide, leader, creator, healer, or steward. Yet something more subtle begins to unfold beneath these forms. Their work stops being a role altogether and becomes a living transmission. Their presence itself becomes the medium. Their art, writing, teaching, or expression carries a frequency that shifts the inner world of others without effort. This video enters that deeper territory. It moves beyond the archetypes into the essence of the creator of consciousness, the one who does not merely perform or produce, but becomes a conduit for awareness to take form. Here, creation is no longer a choice or a skill. It is an inevitability of being. There are creators whose work entertains. There are creators whose work inspires. And then there are creators whose work changes people, not by design, but by frequency. These are the creators who paint with awareness, write with the breath of truth, speak from the center of their being, and hold the world like a living, pulsing organism that listens for what wants to emerge next. Their creations are not products. They are portals. Their words are not information. They are activation. Their presence is not performance. It is a field of remembering. This video is about these creators, the ones who shift collective consciousness not by effort, but by alignment. There is art that decorates rooms, and art that rearranges souls. Art that confirms what people already know, and art that introduces them to who they could become. Art that reflects culture, and art that reshapes it. The art that shifts collective consciousness doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the field, that subtle, invisible dimension where intuition, insight, memory, and possibility intertwine like smoke rising from an ancient fire. This kind of art feels familiar and futuristic at the same time. It awakens something buried. It speaks in symbols the intellect cannot decode, yet the heart recognizes instantly. When someone encounters it, they don't say, "That's interesting." They say, "I feel different," because they are. This art is not an expression of personality. It is an expression of the underlying intelligence moving through a human instrument. The creator becomes the brush, consciousness becomes the painter, and the world becomes the canvas. This is how collective shifts begin. Not through force, but through resonance. Presence is not an idea. It is a frequency. When a creator enters presence, something extraordinary happens. The work begins to create itself. Words arise like tides. Sentences land with the clarity of lightning. Ideas emerge fully formed, as if they have been waiting patiently just beyond the veil. There is no strain, no performance, no proving, no calculating, no what will people think. Presence removes the ego from the process and replaces it with truth. A creator in presence does not try to be profound. They simply become transparent enough for wisdom to move through them without distortion. This is why some pieces of writing feel alive, as if they breathe with you, as if they whisper, as if they know you. Presence imprints itself into the work. People don't read the words. They receive the consciousness behind the words. A single paragraph written from presence can shift someone more deeply than an entire book written from ambition. A single teaching spoken with awareness can reorder someone's inner world in a way no strategy ever could. Presence doesn't teach content. Presence teaches state, and state is the doorway to transformation. There is a difference between influencing people and stewarding consciousness. Influence is horizontal. It moves from person to person. Stewardship is vertical. It moves from source through person into the collective field. A steward of consciousness is someone who listens deeply, perceives beyond the surface, carries awareness gently, moves with integrity, speaks only what feels true, creates from alignment, not pressure, honors the timing of emergence, protects the sacredness of the work, lives as a bridge between worlds. They do not claim ownership over their insight. They do not force their message into the world. They do not manipulate the field for personal gain. They serve the evolution of consciousness the way a gardener serves a seed, not by pushing it open, but by creating the conditions for its natural unfolding. Stewarding consciousness is not a task. It is a relationship. It requires humility, for you are not the source of the wisdom that moves through you. It requires courage, for you speak truths that disrupt old structures and familiar illusions. It requires devotion, for you must tend to your own awareness as lovingly as you tend to the world's. A steward becomes a lighthouse in the unseen realms, a quiet architect of awakening, a keeper of the inner fire. Their life becomes a vessel through which consciousness evolves. When someone is both a creator and a steward, their work becomes mythic. Their art carries codes. Their writing becomes alchemy. Their presence becomes liberation. This is not performance. It is initiation. The world feels it immediately, a subtle shift, a widening, a remembering. When art, presence, and stewardship merge, the creator no longer tries to impact the world. The world is impacted simply because their existence radiates coherence. They do not shift collective consciousness. They allow consciousness to shift through them. The world does not need more content. It needs more consciousness. It does not need louder voices. It needs clearer frequencies. It does not need better performances. It needs deeper presence. It does not need more creators. It needs more transmitters, those who create from alignment and offer work that awakens instead of entertains. We are entering an era where art becomes medicine, writing becomes initiation, creativity becomes remembrance, and consciousness becomes the true curriculum. The ones who answer this calling are not merely artists or writers or mentors. They are architects of the next paradigm. If you feel the pull of this video, it is because you are one of these creators. A steward, a transmitter, a bridge, a lantern, a quiet architect of awakening. Your work is not separate from your life. Your presence is not separate from your art. Your guidance is not separate from your being. They are one pulse, one movement, one breath of consciousness expressed through you, and the world feels it. When you create from presence, you create from the center of truth. When you steward consciousness, you shape the unseen. When you offer your art to the world, you shift its very fabric. This is your role now, not to create with force, but to create with freedom, not to teach with authority, but to guide with resonance, not to influence minds, but to awaken hearts, to live as a doorway through which consciousness itself enters the world anew.